Welcome everybody to the Pirate Skills landing page setup session, where we are going to share with you why you need great landing pages as a growth marketer and why WordPress is the right choice. Of course, there are many alternatives and we will discuss that at the end. And then I want to step you through a growth marketer's dream landing page setup built with WordPress. And let's head right in. So why do you actually need great landing pages? I think this is kind of underestimated. If you think about it, your landing page is actually, they're the doors to your product. You buy this expensive ad click, and what is the next thing people actually see? A landing page from you. And if that experience sucks, what kind of impression will that put on your product? On the other hand, if you have an impressive, fast-loading, mobile-friendly landing page, then this will reflect positively on the product that you are creating. And then another big point for me is landing page are the sole way we are creating leads for your B2B business and how we create sales on e-commerce sites. Everything needs to go through a landing page, and investing in a proper setup that gives you everything users need to actually convert. It's infinitely valuable for us growth marketers. And what I learned over the years is that my homepage is actually the worst page on my complete website. It needs to satisfy everyone. It needs to show them the way to the upcoming events, to the workshops, to the free stuff we have up, to our social media channels. It sends them everywhere at once, has probably many call to actions if you look through the website and homepage and count the links. But a landing page has a focus, has something that a homepage just does not. It makes a few people very happy and other people just don't care about it. But it has this potential, like a Spotify playlist, to be absolutely nurtured to you. It's not like a broadband radio channel that plays some rock music, then some metal, then some electro to make everybody happy. You can keep your focus there, and you can also try new stuff in your business with great landing pages, new product ideas, or get some feedback, something that you wouldn't dare to put on your website yet until it matured. So at the end, if your website matures, you should see that the majority of your traffic is not landing anymore on your website, on your homepage, but on your specific landing pages. This might be SEO traffic, this might be paid traffic, whatever it is. But the more you shift towards landing pages, the higher your conversion rates will be. Now, what does this landing page also need to be? To me, it needs to be fast. If it doesn't load fast, it failed its service. In e-commerce, we say that a 3-second load time costs us about 30% of our revenue. That is just not acceptable. Then landing pages need to be mobile friendly these days, especially if you do any kind of social advertising. From Facebook and Instagram, I usually see 90% mobile traffic. And especially if I pay for that, if it's not mobile friendly, like it's not even an option, I wouldn't pay a cent for that. And then we also want to be able to quickly make assessment about different versions of that same landing page, which one is performing better and which one is worse. So an A/B test means that, for example, 50% see a different title than the other group B, the other 50%. They see two different titles, and that actually shows them, that gives different conversion rates, and then your A/B test tells you, with that title, so many more people are signing up. Or with that title, so many more people buy something. And then you can make a decision which idea you want to pursue, and then create other experiments. This is not something that every landing page gives us. Then we want our landing page to be trackable. Trackable because we need to measure what is successful and what is not successful. There is so much time and money being wasted on bad landing pages, but people just don't know why do they suck? Where do people get stuck in the customer journey? And we want to eliminate that. We need transparency and visibility. We get that with a proper analytics setup in our landing page. And by the way, this is going to be the major topic in our upcoming meetup in April. Then given all of those requirements and special abilities of landing pages, like why WordPress? Yeah, let me show you before we dig into the reasons and the plugins you should have into a concrete example. Let me show you my landing page that we built on a Friday afternoon that is now the main website that sells our workshops. Let's press enter. You see it loaded blazingly fast and it opens up with a centralized consent management tool. In this case, this is Ball Labs. I'm gonna mention them later. The reason why this is set up this way is that we want a high percentage of people to opt in. If you position your cookie consent banner in the middle and you darken the background of your website, then more people will make this decision instead of just having it down below here. Aim for a 60% plus cookie consent rate. I often see 80% and more in less marketing or developer focused niches. Now this website completely loads. You can see that there are lots of elements on this website. We got a picture here, we got a title, a tagline, a very clear call to action. We got a YouTube video on it that explains it. But there is some magic to how we load that YouTube video so it doesn't make the website slow. All of those images that you see here are actually transformed into SVG, which is a vector format that has extremely small, like in terms of kilobyte size. It wasn't much work because we already have a design that is very suited towards vector graphics. As I said, I did this with Matti, this guy, on a Friday afternoon. And 90% of this website was ready. Of course, we changed and tweaked everything and we got feedback. But this is essentially it. And it is also mobile friendly. If we switch to our mobile view here, then you can see, it's readable. The YouTube video goes smaller. The layout switches a little bit, so it becomes more friendly. But what about page speed? I love this tool called gtmetrics.com. You can get a free account there, and then we'll actually store a history of your performance of your websites that you keep on testing again and again. You can see here that this whole website loads in 1.1 second. But what is more important, the time until a user perceives it as complete and can interact with it is at 0.6 seconds. This is what I usually aim for. Below 1 second, 1.5, 2 seconds, then it's painful for me. This whole website is loading really nicely. The only thing that is not working really great, what this tool is not doing really well, is the cumulative layout shift. You maybe saw when I loaded the website that until the cookie consent was accepted, the layout shifted a little bit. And this is what it means by does the layout switch over time? It should be completed 0.1 second, layout should be finished. But there's always ways to optimize it. But having a website with this much content, with so many graphics and a YouTube video on it, loading in less than a second, that's what we want to shoot for. Let's go back. So maybe that already gave you some ideas why WordPress, but there are so many arguments that pile on top. I used to be when I started about 10 years ago, WordPress exclusive. Then I switched back to all kinds of landing page tools like Instapage, HubSpot, lead pages, all kinds of stuff, Unbounce. And now I'm back to WordPress. And when I checked the numbers, I was extremely surprised by this stat. 40% of the web uses WordPress. This is what they report themselves. And what that means for us, why this is important, why we care, is this factor. It has a huge community. And having a community means that thousands of developers are working non-stop on improving the WordPress IT infrastructure. And we can benefit from that. There is a solution for everything on WordPress. Then WordPress comes with lots of design templates. Because the community is so big, also many artists and designers are creating templates that are beautiful. If you check out platforms like Theme Forest and Elegant Themes and Astra Themes, then you will see that everything has already that you could wish for has been built. And then you can take this and customize it to your personal needs. Of course, you can custom code everything from scratch, but this is a budgeting question. Yeah, if you are able to start at a decent template, you save so much money compared to just coding everything from scratch. Then it's kind of easy to use. I would say a tool like Instapage is still easier to use than WordPress or a Wix site or a Squarespace. They are completely directed towards ease of use. And WordPress has become very easy to use as the rise of what you see is what you get page builders like Oxygen and Elementor. When that thrived, it became so much easier that I today would say if you have somebody who sets you up the WordPress site and you can work with PowerPoint and make layouts there, you should be able to do it with WordPress and Elementor. But this is not where it stops. You are free, if you are so inclined, to upgrade your WordPress site into an online shop, to a calendar, to the center of your CRM, to an event page. It's unlimited what you can do with WordPress. You can turn your WordPress website into a mobile app. But let's focus here on the ease of use with a page builder like Elementor or Oxygen. It's a breeze. Then what I like about WordPress more than most other landing page tools is how good it is for SEO. Most landing page tools come from this mindset of, okay, I need this landing page tool for this campaign, and then maybe shut it down. WordPress gives you the ability to build all of your landing page on the same domain as your main website, where your blog is, where your products are, and people do not have to switch domains, subdomains, and that kind of stuff, which also improves not only your SEO, but the conversion tracking gets a lot easier. Browsers are seriously starting to make cross-domain tracking really hard. It's going to get worse in the future. So this was one of the main reasons why I started to go from like an LMS system and a website and then a different landing page tool to have all in one in WordPress. Now I feel again like I started my marketing journey with SEO, and like suddenly there are these options, there are the abilities and the capabilities of WordPress, and I would love to invest more in SEO again. And then WordPress is mobile friendly. Every theme that you get is already mobile optimized. There is not even a question about it. Yes, there are some old crappy WordPress sites that are not mobile optimized, but yours doesn't have to be. And then WordPress can be super fast. I say can because WordPress did have a reputation for being quite slow. But I'm going to show you the plugins and themes that you can use that really focus on page speed, which is important, as we saw, in terms of landing page optimization. It might not be the most important reason for your blog, but if we are paying traffic and it's not fast, loading slow is simply not an option. And then the ultimate argument for WordPress is there is a plugin for that. On your phone, you have an app for that. On WordPress, there is a plugin for that. Whatever you can think of, what you think you need, there have been many developers who have already developed a plugin for that. And I'm going to share the growth marketing landing page setup that I always wish I had, and that I can host myself, where I make the decision, where I am more GDPR conform than I could have ever been on like an Instapage or an Unbounce. Because they are hosting wherever they like to host it, and I make that decision for myself. And if I make the decision to host in the US, it's there. If it's supposed to be Germany, it's in Germany. And this is my first point. We have to make a couple of decisions when we create a WordPress landing page setup. We have to think about 10 different topics, and I want to go through them with you and then show you what decisions I made, and I will also show you alternatives. So what you essentially need to do is just follow along step by step, make your decision in terms of those 10 points, set up your WordPress site and you're ready to go. Let's dig into it. Now, the first thing that you need and should decide on is where are you going to host your website. And there are many hosts who are promising you, yeah, you can host here for free or for $9.99 a year. Do not cheap out on your hosting. Hosting is where your website lies. And when a user enters your website, the connection time to the server and how fast the server is delivering your website, how well their caching is one of the major points if your website is going to be fast or slow, at least everything else besides what's on the page. Yeah. So another important point is if you have a high traffic peak, let's say you're being shown by an influencer, your product is being shown there. You do not want your website to break down because there are suddenly 1,000 people on your website. It was really one of the advantages of tools like Instapage. I just wouldn't have to worry about hosting. Here we do. It gives us freedom. It, for example, gives us the freedom to choose a host like Rateboxes. Rateboxes has extremely fast hosting and is located in Germany. If that is something that is important to you, for example, that your website is hosted in the EU, then this is an argument. Then there are other services that do site updates and security checks for you. I've chosen WP Engine. The first choice is usually the one that I personally took. It is completely focused on WordPress hosting, has very good backup solutions, has integrated caching, and is just a fast user experience, as you saw from the GT metrics data. And then there are always alternatives. There are so many ones, but I would just want to always give you like 3 solutions that I'm familiar with, and you just pick the one you like. But feel free to do anything else that you find on the interwebs that suits your needs more. Now we have an excellent hosting solution. And yes, it might cost 30 euros per month, but hell is it worth it. The next most important decision is the page builder you want to use for WordPress. So for my website that I just showed you, I used a page builder called Oxygen. It is a pretty easy to use page builder that just allows me to just edit the title here and then type in a different title. I don't have to code anything. I don't have to see the PHP behind this. I can just switch this image if I want to. And this is what page builders are doing for you. They give you a view on your website and you can just drag in elements and position them correctly on your website. Yes, every website builder has their quirks, and I've decided to use Oxygen because Oxygen is very much, you notice they are like made by marketers and they really focus on page speed and capabilities to give developers capabilities to go beyond just a pretty looking website, like dynamic elements that like repeaters. And I really enjoy this focus on speed and developer friendliness. But there are friendlier page builders. For example, my default recommendation for everybody would be Elementor. Elementor has become pretty much the de facto standard of page builders because it is so easy to use. To make a dynamic, modern looking website, Elementor is probably your first choice, but check out Oxygen. I think Oxygen is the up-and-coming page builder for WordPress for people that are performance-oriented. And this is the growth marketer landing page setup. This is not for the general, I want a nice blog. Yeah? We have more demands. And then to have a third alternative, there is Divi. Divi is a page builder that is being built by the site called Elegance Themes, and they're providing tons of beautiful themes built in these other page builders. And if you, for example, look on YouTube, check out comparisons like Oxygen versus Elementor versus Divi. Those YouTubers will tell you exactly these are the strengths and weaknesses, and you choose whatever is right for you. For me, it was Oxygen. Now, after the page builder, the next most important thing is to choose a compatible theme. A theme in WordPress is what gives it the main design, but it also adds a lot of functionality to your WordPress website. So you have to make a very careful choice here because if you go for the theme first, it might not be compatible with the page builder you want to use. But the page builder is the more important choice. This is why I put it first. If you use Oxygen, there is no theme. It deactivates the theme that is currently on, and you never have to worry about the theme again. It is similar with Elementor. You can just ignore the theme functionality and build your website as you like. But there are themes that are extremely compatible with Elementor and a very good starting point for almost any website. And one I always hear mentioned is Astra themes. So check them out. And then elegant themes for Divi, as I mentioned before. Now we've made some basic choices. How are we going to build the website? How is it going to look? Now we get into the growth marketer part of it. We generally, it doesn't matter if it's like e-commerce or B2B lead gen, you want a contact form. You want people to interact with you, to be able to send you data like their contact info, first name, email, send them an ebook for that. And there are a couple of plugins that are really prevalent in this area. So Contact Form 7 is kind of the standard. It's a free plugin that is pretty capable, but it just provides you with form fields that are kind of easy to use. I've chosen WP Forms. It's a freemium model. I have the paid version because it creates not only forms that I can use, but actually customer surveys that look very much like Typeform surveys. And I'm doing a lot of surveys in my customer development process and do it for customers. And having my own Typeform on my own domain is just fantastic. So I chose WP Forms for that feature. And then there's Gravity Forms, which is probably the most powerful form builder, which also comes with a lot of baggage, like in terms of functionality you don't need because it's so powerful. So pick the one that is the right one for you. Contact Form 7 is the leanest. WP Forms is the one if you also want to have like a survey feature built into your forms. Now, when we want to collect user information, what do we need? We need user consent. We need to get people to opt in to our cookies. And of course, in the form field, we also want to ask them for permission to process their data according to our privacy policies. Now, managing consent, I've mentioned this multiple times, is extremely important. If let's say only 10% of visitors accept your cookie, you could also leave your Google Analytics out of the picture. Yeah, because there's not enough feedback you can learn from. This is why we need to manage consent properly for performance reason. And there's also our legal and moral responsibility to give users a choice there. I chose Bohr Labs Cookie. I've looked into compliance because it has an A/B testing feature for my cookie banner, and I'm a sucker for A/B testing, so I need that. And then there is a very popular free one called Cookie Law Info. And check those out. I ended up with Bohr Labs, costs around 39 euro, and then it is a yearly support update. But you don't even need to do that, but I would. Very recommendable, performs really well. And what it also does, it is managing all of your pixels, like your Facebook pixel, your Google Tag Manager. Everything is managed through Bohr Labs Cookie in the WordPress setup that I would recommend to you. And then you want to track people. After you got consent, you want to be sure that people are also getting tracked. For example, if you're doing LinkedIn ads, you want the LinkedIn Insights tag on it. On Google Ads, you want Google Analytics and the Google Ads tag. On Facebook, the Facebook Pixel, Pinterest tag, all the good stuff that we marketers love. First we get consent, then we get to fire all of those. There's one plugin that is just amazing called Pixel Your Site that has exceptionally good event tracking. And that takes so much work, especially if you have anything with the checkout and e-commerce. Definitely in that case, check out Pixel Your Site. And you can also manage everything through the Google Tag Manager. And we are going to handle this topic like a perfect conversion tracking template next meetup. It's going to be probably up when you see this. All right, so these are our analytics tools. Then we want to improve our page speed. I already showed you GTmetrix. It's just a way to measure. It doesn't have anything to do with WordPress. You can use GTmetrix also on your Shopify store, for example. It's extremely helpful to keep an eye on that. Then there are solutions for caching. I rely on the caching from my host, from WP Engine, but you can also have your own caching solution with something like WP Supercache. But there are many options. I just wanted to make you aware you have to manage caching. What does caching do for you? If somebody visits your website, it essentially saves a smaller version of that website in the browser and serves that to that person, but also to other people. It doesn't always get all of the fresh dynamic data from the server again. It can deliver lightning fast, already prepared version of your website. Then you want to handle images with a tool like Smush. Smush, when you upload an image, already compresses them to a perfect format so your page speed doesn't suffer. And then there is a beautiful tool called Asset Cleanup. There are many tools. Let's say like Gravity Forms. It's a bit known for that. Gravity Forms loads JavaScript on every single website that you have. It doesn't matter if Gravity Forms is actually needed on those websites. It's just gonna load. And this plugin helps you to get rid of all of the JavaScript and the stuff that some plugins are loading that you don't need anymore. One of the disadvantages of WordPress is, since it is such a heterogeneous developer community, not everything is like aligned with each other, and therefore many unnecessary things are loading. This is what used to make WordPress, and still does, if you don't take care of it, make WordPress slow. And tools like Asset Cleanup just give you the complete freedom to decide which fonts, which JavaScript, which YouTube embed widgets are loading on which website. And I really like that. This is what helped me very much to increase the page speed performance that you just saw. Right, now we get page speed tackled and our WordPress website is up and running. Now, as I said, we also want to use the strength of the SEO capabilities of WordPress. Here, currently, I prefer to use Rank Math, but Yoast and All-in-One SEO are also very popular plugins. What they enable you to do is to define the meta tags for every single site or blog post that you have. That is like the title that you see in WordPress, the description, and much more, like the image that is being shared on social. It optimizes and checks for word density and it gives you feedback on how optimized your pages already are for specific keywords. And then we want to tighten security. One of the arguments against WordPress is that because it is such a popular platform, it's like Windows. Viruses are usually written for popular platforms. And this is why a lot of people used and still do target WordPress website. It's a known environment. You need to keep it updated and everything. And there have, of course, been plugins developed to tighten that security. And here are a couple of security plugins. So you have Securi and WordFence, who do general protection. Like, for example, it limits the number of logins a user can do with a wrong username and password. That limits the machines that are doing this automatically to get blocked for a day. Yeah, and then they have 10 tries again, and this pretty much stops brute force attacks. But then you also should be having a backup solution. For me, again, I can go back to my host WP Engine. They are my backup solution. If you want to roll your own backup solution, there is always a plugin for that. And now some fun bonus ones that I use on a daily basis pretty much that make my life easier. And it's, again, one of the arguments for WordPress. There is simply a plugin for that. There is a plugin called Pretty Links. And what it does, for example, when you saw the website, I had just /LP setup. But what it actually does, it redirects you to the course in our LearnDash environment within WordPress with a longer URL, sharing with you the website pirateskills.com/LP setup. it is memorable, it is shareable, it is social media friendlier. And I can actually track all of those short links and see how they are performing, which also gives me more insight in which kind of content people like. I use it all the time, like pretty links, just beautiful redirects. Then duplicate page. It gives you the ability to just say like, oh yeah, I got this landing page template already. I just want to duplicate for a new template. For some wild reason, this is not a built-in feature of WordPress, so I always have this installed, especially for landing page purposes, because you don't want to restart your landing page setup every time from the beginning. You want to have templates. You want to copy those templates, and this is how you do it. And because we want to optimize for page speed, we want SVG support. So SVG support wasn't done in WordPress for security reasons, but you can limit who is able to upload SVG files. For example, just admins. So I set up the plugin called SVG support. By the way, whenever this is underlined, there is a link for that. And if you download the slides, which are on pirate.com/LP setup, you can just click on the slides and it sends you directly to the plugin directory of WordPress. So that is SVG support. And now we come to probably the craziest plugin that I know for WordPress. It's called WP Fusion. It's not cheap. It cost me like $200 a year, but it's so worth it. It synchronizes my CRM, ActiveCampaign, with WordPress data. It synchronizes, for example, which free courses did people enroll in. And now I can send them specific emails for those topics that people really care about. And I don't have to send out random emails. And it recognizes somebody who has become a customer versus somebody who is a lead versus somebody who is not yet in the system. And it enables me to show different content to people that are in a different stage of the customer lifecycle. It works extremely well together with ActiveCampaign, with Oxygen, and it's just a joy to see such a strong integration. If it's also compatible with your CRM, I would strongly consider it, but it's only necessary if you actually use the user profiles on WordPress. I use them because I extended my WordPress to become a learn management system. It's called LearnDash. And all of the slides, all of the videos, they are uploaded in a nice, easily digestible format, similar to something like Udemy, but on my own website. Again, this is an advantage of WordPress. And then I upgraded it even more and made it purchasable. I made those paid courses, which are at the moment still just the workshops that we're having, purchasable through the website, through another extremely powerful plugin called WooCommerce, which makes an e-commerce store with all of the capabilities you could ever wish for out of your WordPress site. So I hope those are a couple of reasons and a concrete setup with some bonuses that you can follow along, and that will take your website to the next level and provide you with landing page experience your customers really deserve. There are many more topics beyond those to be talked about, and maybe we'll do that in an upcoming session. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in our Discord or in the question tool like pirateskits.com/question. And we will pick them up and we will create new videos out of that. I know this was a lot. As I said, you can download all of the slides here at pirateskits.com/LP setup, and you can click on all of the items and they will immediately send you to the correct page where you get more information about the plugin, about the theme. I hope this really helps you out to make the decision, is WordPress right for you? And if yes, how you would actually go about setting it up. That's it for landing page setup. I showed you why you need it, like why WordPress, and my growth marketer setup as I have it now. If I'm going to change it, I promise you I will keep an update on this landing page.